Thanks for joining me on yet another adventure. We are still in the Horn of Africa, this time visiting the reclusive country of Eritrea.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Asmara, Eritrea. Asmara International Airport. The local time is 5 p.m.
The Asmara airport is also very tightly secured. I might be the only nerd that likes to know what the airports are like, but I won't be able to share this one with you here. Immigration took a few hours for all of us, and it was quite late by the time we were able to retire to our hotel rooms. This is our budget room here. Big TV. This is super fancy. We have a balcony and everything. Not a bad little view. This is a bathroom. Look at this. In Eritrea of all places. This is so nice. All right, we made it to Eritrea here. We got some news that there's a tour affiliated with the group that I'm with, but there's a tour right ahead of us that we had a specific guy we were supposed to have, and one of the tourists was taking pictures of things that he shouldn't be, and unfortunately both the tourist and the guide got thrown into jail. And I don't know what the backstory is. I don't know if he blatantly didn't do it, but they made it very clear to us, you have to be careful with what you take pictures of. You have to ask permission basically, because it's Eritrea is extremely strict when it comes to what you can and can't take pictures of, and the airport was one of them. So it would have been nice to show you what the Asmara airport looked like, but that's just not going to be possible for obvious reasons. It's just been a really long travel day, and I am excited to get to bed. So I will see you guys tomorrow on our first day of Eritrea. Good morning from the hotel here. They're learning about a water crisis that Eritrea is having right now. The bottled water they're importing from elsewhere sounds like it's actually contaminated with some sort of weird detergent. They're telling us not to drink any of that. So we're resorting to having to drink bottled sparkling water right now, because that's about the only thing that's going to be safe. We're running very behind schedule, unfortunately, though, because the hotel here is running behind at getting our passports all checked out, because Eritrea, again, is very strict, and we won't be able to get back into the city if they don't process our passports accordingly, and we are still waiting for that processing to happen. The processing to get our permits was so far behind that we went ahead and did part of our city tour today, which was totally great. Let's go see what Asmara is like. Our first stop is the alleged Eiffel Tower of Asmara, or the Via Tagliero building. It was built in 1938, and at the time, it was considered impossible to build the overhead wings attached to the service station. That feat made this structure so special and futuristic. Very narrow. Not a bad little view up here. Oh, it makes me happy to see that little VW bug. Our permits still weren't ready, so we went for a walk through one of the main parts of Asmara. We happened upon one store on our walk that had some Eritrean swag, which was nice to stock up on before Independence Day. One very Italian influence here is the presence of grand, fancy cinema theaters. While movies are played here, it is a popular venue for football games too, and the decor is quirky and unique. Oh, how cool is this? You can imagine the rowdiness of a football game in this place. Wow. All the details found from the podium to the light fixtures made me happy. Our next stop was my favorite of the day, the Asmara recycling market. Because there are such heavy sanctions against this country, they cannot import many things. So they recycle and recreate parts and items to repair and recycle with what they already have. And I love seeing the lengths they go to. Hi! 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 High five! High five. It really showcased to me how incredibly wasteful my American culture is. And I don't know or see of places that go to these lengths where I live. It's embarrassing, really. Nice.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Are you fine? Welcome from
USA, America. Beautiful. Thank you. I really enjoyed walking around here. It was fascinating to see how creative they are. We got word that our permits were almost ready and that we would need to be near the post office to expedite our departure, so they took us for another walk in that general vicinity. One fun point of interest was this old Italian-style hotel with a fancy Chuli-style glass. We swung by a library that was almost exclusively full of English language books. This surprised me. I didn't think English was that popular, at least enough to have such a collection in this part of the world. I clearly was wrong. We visited another Italian cinema theater, Cinema Asmara. Unfortunately, the inside of the theater was closed today.
It's not open today.
Finally, we got word that our permits were ready for pickup. We can finally begin our several-hour drive to the coast. We are told that there are scores of cacti along these roads to prevent them from buckling, something the Italians did when constructing the road to the coast. These are not naturally occurring here, but man, did they proliferate. We made a couple stops to check out the vintage-style train tracks and tunnels that were made back in the 30s as alternate transportation to the coast. We're told they're no longer operational.
Hiking in Eritrea, trying to avoid the needles. One wrong step and you'll be sorry.
We also got glimpses of troublesome monkeys. They're bold and have no shame trying to attack cyclists. As if the cows were signaling us to stop again, we happened to see them when we were pulling over to see this vintage train bridge. Still an amazing shape.
They call these toothpick trees, and I can kind of see why. It's hard to see, but my God, that sunset with the mountains and it's really quite pretty.
It was getting very late, and we had to stop our exploration to make up time and get to the hotel in a semi-timely fashion. After another few hours, we finally arrived.
Oh my gosh, we finally made it to the hotel, and we've been driving for hours through the desert. The room I have here is pretty basic, but I'll show you in the morning when we have a view of the harbor, which I do have a view, but you can't really see it right now. So with that, good night. I'll see you tomorrow.